Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Tillis Lederman, author of The Connector's Advantage, coach, trainer, and connection creator. And I'm excited for you to catch me on this week's episode of The Jessie T Show.
Michelle Tillis Lederman, welcome to the Jessie T Show.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for being you and being on. I'm excited to talk about all that you've done and all that you've witnessed and journeyed through life and business. I think you have a great story and some great insights to share. So if you could just kick it off and tell us a little bit about you, your background, and who you are.
Well, I always say I'm a recovering CPA because it's just really we tend to make decisions based on like an anecdote to something that we had missing in our lives. And I had money missing in my life when I was growing up. And so I went down the finance path to find it. And I'm photographic for numbers, and I, kind of get that side of my brain. And so I just kind of said, oh, accounting, I'll just go do that. And I spent a decade in finance, and I was the only woman on a venture capital team, and I was the only woman on the trading floor, and I was a miserable woman.
Believe it.
I had this vision to get to the corner office on Wall Street. I had a corner office, two windows looking out over the stock exchange.
Mm.
And it was like the gilded cage, because it's really hard to leave that level of success and that level of financial security to do something to find your passion. And it was actually while I was working on the trading floor, and my boss, who was the treasurer, became the CEO of Tokyo. And so he basically said, Michelle, go out to Japan and teach everybody how to deal with me. Go hire a coach, have them go with you. And I was like, all right. So I paid somebody a ridiculous amount of money to come out with me for a week. I might have been making 10% of that.
Wow.
We go out there. I did everything she did and then some. And I was like, I'm good at this. I'm like, this is what I should be doing. So at the end of this long week, and if you really want to hear the story.
Yeah. Talk about it.
So, I'm 4'10". And I get to Japan, and I don't know if you've ever been there, but the culture in Japan is that you bow to the person higher in the hierarchy.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't realize and didn't know that. And they decided to haze me a little bit, the people that knew this rule. And so they said, if somebody bows, bow deeper. Well,
wow.
I was higher on the hierarchy. And so literally I had somebody on his knees on the floor trying to bow below me because I kept bowing deeper and they were trying to get lower.
Yeah.
And then, like this 6'3" Italian guy's over in the corner cracking up. And I'm like, oh,
Gotcha.
So that's how it started. And then basically it was a very global crew. And they came in with these huge decks, 50 pages to present to the new CEO. And I said, you get 5 pages max.
Wow. Wow.
So people kind of left a little upset, but I helped them figure out what the 5 pages should be. And we worked with them. And that's kind of what I do, is really help synthesize their message and understand what they want to communicate. But they were all like shell shocked, because I said, listen, you're coming in here and you're going to give projections of your numbers. And I'm here to tell you, don't underestimate your numbers, because if you do and you exceed those numbers, we're going to want to know why you didn't know that you could do that.
Wow.
And so that your bonus is tied to how closely you come to your numbers, not whether you exceed them or not.
How about that? So no sandbagging.
Yeah. So so basically I put the fear of their new CEO into them and had them really have to not just dial it in. So we go through the week, we do the whole offsite. It's great. They're like, oh, we survived. Let's get Michelle drunk.
Celebrate the victorious week. Yeah.
Now, remember, Michelle's 4'10", not hard to get her drunk.
So we're talking like a shot and you're good.
Doesn't take much. They had me out all night at the clubs in Japan, drinking. And I'm like, I have a 6 a.m. meeting with the CEO. I got to go back. I get back at 5:15. I shower, I dress,
Wow.
and I go to my meeting at 6 a.m. So I get back at 5:15. I shower, I dress, I go to my meeting with the CEO. Now, mind you, I'm still a little bit tipsy. Didn't have time for breakfast. And so I'm feeling like great. Everybody had a successful meeting. Everybody was not scared of me anymore. So I go to the CEO. I said, I can do this. And he said, okay, you still have to do all the other stuff. I said, okay. And that's how this started.
Wow. Just being ready and prepared for the opportunity when it came.
Also, knowing and believing in yourself and having the confidence to ask for what you want.
Very cool. Yeah, that's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people are they either feel undeserving or don't feel like they have the voice to be able to speak up. But that's usually what carries so far in situations like that is the confidence, is the belief in yourself. Because if you believe in yourself, other people will too. And that's kind of where the belief starts.
I always say you have to believe you first. Otherwise, you're not going to convince anybody else of anything.
I mean, that's sales 101 too. Like I remember being in sales for years and when I believed in something, like you could feel it across the other side of the earth. But like when I didn't believe in something and it was like I didn't want to do it, it's like you knew right away. I was like, why are you even talking about this? I'm like, yeah. It was just I had to be lit up. There's this thing called human design, and I'm a manifesting generator, and I have to be lit up about things to get really like excited about them. And it's one of those things where I have to constantly always like try new projects, try new things. But I know that about myself, so I kind of figured out how to work that into my life. But it's if you're not lit up about something, if you're not excited about it, people will feel that. Not only will they hear what you're saying or not what you're saying, but also they'll feel the lack of like energy, the lack of belief, you know?
There's two concepts in my book that you just made me think of. One concept is authenticity, and the other concept is energy.
Yep.
So, one of the things I'm often getting when I'm doing talks is how are you supposed to be authentic when you don't buy into what's going on? Right. Like you just said, I'm not really excited. I don't really believe that they're making a good decision, but yet I've got to get my team to do it.
Yep.
And so that's one of the things I talk about is how can you find the productive energy? How can you find the authentic way to onboard people? And I usually say it is through that honesty. It's through building trust. It's through saying, hey, I wasn't totally on board at the beginning and I'm still working my way towards it. But here's how I am doing it. And share your own evolution in that process.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. Like explore that. Go a little bit deeper, expand on in terms of in cultures, in corporate cultures, a lot of times you will find people that are either disenchanted or, they're just not excited about what they're doing. They kind of, it's one of those time to make the donuts kind of feeling. They have to wake up, they have to do it. Like, how do you help change mindsets? Because I know that's part of, even in your book, just, seven
Yep.
mindsets within the Connector's Advantage. We'll talk a bunch about that. But how do you actually spur lasting change in mindsets that's not just motivation, but it's either discipline or it's habit. It's something they're going to perpetuate down the line.
So one of the things I always say, if somebody tells me they're not happy at work, I say, don't blame the company. Look at yourself. Happiness is an intrinsic emotion. It is not an external force. You have the ability to choose how to frame and have the perspective that you want. So we were talking before about energy, and you said, well, if I don't really feel it, I can't show it. But there's an idea about being able to shift your energy, to frame your energy, to find the good in a situation. Like I have a bunch of techniques that I can give you. I have so many different roads I want to go down and talk to you about. Um, but this isn't about the company's not doing this or the company's not doing that. Really, it's you're not finding what you need. There's a Gallup survey that on engagement, and there's only 12 questions in it. And my favorite question of the 12 is, do you have a best friend at work?
That's important. Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's not, I mean, a key part of our engagement with the job is the work that we're producing and the feeling of impact and recognition and appreciation and the understanding attitude of the boss. And all of that is critical.